In the previous video, we created a vehicle class using some of the tools built into NetBeans to make our life easy. And then in our driver class, in our main method, we created a sample vehicle and printed that vehicle out. In this video, we're going to create a car class that inherits from vehicle. So let's do that. I'm going to go to File, New File. It's going to be a Java class. The class name is going to be car. And notice I have the option of specifying the superclass here. I'm not going to do that in this video, but I'm going to try to remember to do it when we do the truck class. And this one we'll do it manually. Okay, so here's my car class, and up here to specify that it inherits from vehicle, we use the keyword extends, and then we'll type vehicle, and they're in the same package. So that's all good. We have an error message, and it's telling us constructor vehicle and vehicle class can't be given applied given types. So we need a constructor. By default, if we don't supply a constructor in this class, it's automatically going to call the vehicle's default constructor, but we didn't make a default constructor for vehicle. So I'm going to let this go for right now. Let's create the fields, the properties that we said we'd have for a car. We'll do that first. So a car takes a number of doors as an integer. So we're going to create that property. So I'm going to do Alt Insert. I'm going to add a property called doors, and that's going to be an int. And we'll go ahead and say OK to that. So there's my private int doors. And now that I have that there, this is a good time to create the constructor. I did not want to do it before I had my field in there. So let's do an Alt Insert here. And let's do a constructor that includes doors. And we'll say generate. And notice what it did for us. Okay. It created a constructor for our car that included doors, like we said, but it also did make, model, and mileage. Because since car inherits from vehicle, when we create a car, it's also going to have the properties of vehicle, and so we have to supply those. And then we use the keyword super. And this keyword super has to be the first thing in our constructor, and it's basically calling the constructor in the super class of vehicle, which required a make, model, and mileage. So when somebody creates a car, they pass in the number of doors, the make, the model, and the mileage. The make and the model and the mileage are going to get passed to the super class, which is the vehicle class. And its constructor is going to run first. And when it's done, it will return to here, and it will set the doors to the value supplied indoors. That's it. That's all we have to supply. Now, that doesn't mean we can't supply more, but this is all we have to supply for our car class, is the number of doors and their getters and setters, which is what we said in the chart. Everything else comes from the vehicle class. And our constructor made use of the parent class's constructor and then set the fields for this one. So let's go test this. Back in vehicle, not in vehicle, in vehicle demo, our driver class, let's do a car called my car, equals new car. And then what do we have to supply for a car? We have to supply the number of doors. We'll make it a 2-door. We have to supply a make and a model. So I'm going to say Ford. It needs to be a string, so in quotes, Ford Mustang. And its mileage, 10,231 miles. And then let's print out information about my car. Okay, so now we're creating a vehicle from the vehicle class, but we're also creating a more specific version of that. We're creating a car. Let's run this. And look what happens. Our car gets created. Our car has a number of doors, but it also has a make, model, and mileage. Even though our car class, we didn't specify each of those things, they were inherited from the vehicle class, the make, model, and mileage. So that worked really well. When we did our toString, notice it printed the toString from the vehicle class, even though this was a car. What if we wanted the toString for the car to be more specific than what we got from vehicle? Well, we can put another override of the toString in the car class. So let's do that. I'm going to come down here to the bottom right before the end. I'm going to say all insert, and I'm going to override the toString, and I'm going to include the doors. But it didn't include the rest. So now what do we want to do? So if we run our program, let's save it and see what happens when we run it. And it prints our car and it prints out the doors, but it doesn't do the toString from vehicle. So let's see what we can do to fix that. Go back to our car class, and in our toString method for this, let's actually call from our superclass, let's call the toString, and it's right here for us, the toString method, which returns a string, and we'll concatenate that. Actually, I think I want to do it just the opposite. I want to concatenate this onto the end. Let's go to super.toString. There, that should fix it. So we're doing the car that was generated, its toString, and we're going to concatenate on the superclass toString, and we have our semicolon at the end. So now let's run it with this. So we're calling up to the superclass and saying, hey, I want to run the toString from that as well. Let's go back to our vehicle demo and run it. So now we get car, doors equals 2, and then from vehicle, we get the make, model, Mustang, and mileage is 10,231. If we want to, we could create a nicer looking version of our toString. I'm not sure I particularly like this one, using the super method to call that. What could I do instead? Let's do this. Car with with this many doors plus, let's concatenate. Let's do on a new line, make concatenate on get make. Can I do this? Yeah. So I can call the get make method for my car, and we don't actually see that, but it works just fine because it inherits from vehicle. Let's continue on using the same pattern. I'm going to put it on a new line just to make it visible, easy to see. Model. And we'll concatenate on get model. It's supposed to be a new line character. That's probably what the problem is there. And then another new line, mileage. Plus get mileage. And then we can bring our semicolon back up to the end of the statement. That might be a little bit nicer one. Oh, car with 2 doors. Make Ford, model Mustang, mileage. Might want to stick a little space in this one. Mileage 10,000. So that's a little nicer 2-string for my car there instead of the default one from the vehicle. So we can generate 2 strings. We can write our own 2 strings. Remember that we have the methods from the parent class of vehicle available to us to use in these. So we can tell very specific things about our car with the 2-string. All right, in the next video, I will demonstrate the truck class, which is the 3rd one that we have not built down here.